a disastrous loss last night. This might open up more. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this statement because I think it opens up more of a discussion than anything. But I will say this statement in two parts. Jalen Hurts is better than Kirk Cousins, and the Eagles are doing exactly what we sort of preached wanting the Vikings to do many times over the last couple years. So let's start with the Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins thing for a second here. And I saw our guy, old friend of the show, Sage Rosenfels, tweeting about this morning, that there's just a stark difference between having to defend both these guys. You know, Jalen Hurts, he's mobile. He's not as accurate as Kirk. If you're making a tail of the tape here, accuracy would go to Kirk. There might be another thing or two that would go to Kirk, but difficulty to defend and game plan for would go to Jalen Hurts. I think willingness to just stay in there when things are tough and not back down from an opponent. Kirk is a curl up in the fetal position guy when the going gets tough, largely, unless it's the Panthers or the Lions or that Broncos game that people still get hung up on from like 3 years ago. Jalen Hurts seems like a foxhole guy, man, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just like, I'm going to go out tonight and I'm going to put on a freaking show and I might make some mistakes, but I'm going to go out there and be full Jalen Hurts tonight. Just seems very comfortable playing at his peak and imposing his will on a game.
And he's also...
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He's also the type of guy, and he's to me, the reason why you take chances in drafting quarterbacks. Because you don't know that. And look, to his credit, Jalen Hurts has improved himself substantially. Like he came into the league, I think, seen as a project guy, and it's now worked. But this is why we've talked about this a ton. This is why you draft him, so that you can. And worst comes to worst, you churn through them. But if you find one on a rookie contract, you have hit pay dirt.
And think about this too. Think about, there's so many mobile quarterbacks in the league now that if they're not running for 500 or 1,000 yards in a season, they're at least keeping plays alive. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes isn't going to run for 1,000 yards, but he's just going to scoot around behind the line of scrimmage and keep plays alive and stuff. I mean, Kyler Murray, that 2-point conversion where he's running for 85 yards. There's so many of these dudes that can move now. Think about how great you have to be as a pocket passer if you don't have mobility. How great you have to be dissecting defenses.
Yes.
Avoiding pressure that's coming at you by just shifting in the pocket, leading, overcoming adversity, all these things. And Kirk isn't great enough, often enough in those other areas to overcome his lack of mobility. So Kirk might be more accurate, and Kirk might be the guy that can sit back in a pocket, a clean pocket, and dissect defenses at a higher level than Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts makes up for so many things by being able to keep plays alive and then going and just like running for 2 touchdowns or running for 70 yards or whatever it takes. He's way harder to defend than Kirk Cousins.
And I think probably the way to take the potential controversy out of this discussion is to say this. We don't even have to call him Kirk Cousins. He's just, as far as I'm concerned, QBX, right? Like, when you look at where this league is trending now, the Cousins' types, so not just Kirk, the Cousins' types are not the types of quarterbacks that I don't think, are going to win consistently with, because they are ultimately one-dimensional. That doesn't make them bad, but if you look at the quarterbacks across this league now who are succeeding the most, who are they? Like what's the profile? The profile, mobile. They can throw. They don't have to all plant to throw. They are QBs that can basically take an RPO and be a true threat, not just we run RPOs too. No, they are true threats. So without bagging on Kirk Cousins, I think the discussion here is just what type of quarterback is going to give you the best chance not to win a division, not to win a single game, but that's going to give you the best chance to potentially get to and win a Super Bowl.
Here's another brilliant thing that the Eagles did. This is from Jason, the head of overthecap.com. He put this out during the game last night. So they have Jalen Hurts right now on like a $1.6 million cap hit, which is among the lowest of any starting quarterback in the league. Like, I don't, there's maybe like one or two guys lower, but even the recent first round picks, like Trevor Lawrence has like a $10 million cap hit because he was the first pick. So they're getting Jalen Hurts on a really low discounted contract until I think it'll be in 2 years. I think maybe next year, and then the year after he will be eligible for a substantial raise. I'm sure he'll get it. But in the meantime, this is their window. Like, okay, so we're not paying our quarterback any money, but he's still really good. Even if you take away the salary, he's still probably one of the 15 to 18 best quarterbacks in the NFL. You could maybe even make a case he's climbing based on the start of the season. And so where have they allocated the rest of their money positionally? They got all this extra money to spend on their roster. So they're spending almost twice as much as the average team on offensive line. They're spending more than the average team on wide receiver. So keep these positions in your head. What are the most important positions in the NFL right now? So they're spending twice as much as average on offensive line, spending more than average on receiver. They're spending twice as much as the average team on edge rushers. They're spending more than the average team on cornerback and defensive tackle. They're spending less than the average team on safety, linebacker, running back. It's a smart way to build a roster. Yes. And you got to get lucky because you got to find the Jalen Hurts, but you got to take a chance. And you could say, well, the Eagles took a chance on Jalen Hurts. It worked in the second round. The Vikings took a chance on Kellen Mond in the third round. They whiffed. And sometimes that's what happens. You pick the wrong guy. Different drafts, right? I think.
Yeah, I believe they are.
Either way, it's what the Eagles are doing. I think if the season doesn't turn around for the Vikings, you could learn a lot by looking at what the Eagles have done the last 2 or 3 years, building this thing back up.
I have confidence that the Vikings will eventually get this right. Like the Spielman scared me because it was my contention that he could not, for the life of him, identify a young, up-and-coming QB. Teddy fit, but I still think that was Norv's baby. But if you look at this now, I think that the Kirk thing, I think that they were told, hey, look, we got Kirk. We love Kirk. Let's win with Kirk. And so these two guys said, okay, cool. We'll try. I have much more faith, though, that O'Connell and Kwesi can now begin to identify quarterback prospects, which to me, Spielman had whiffed far too much on.
Mm-hmm. I think we're back to Judd here for statements.
I want to know why Cam Dantzler was benched. And here's why. So yes, the Vikings were trailing, but they didn't bench a ton of guys. They benched Cam, who I thought had played pretty well. Like, certainly not the worst guy. And here's what concerns me a bit. Patrick Peterson might go to the Hall of Fame. God bless him. He's a great player, or certainly was a great player, right? But unless Cam Dantzler was insubordinate or did something behind the scenes that we don't know that earned him a benching, if this was done on trying to take a look at a younger player, I want Peterson benched there. Like, this team, in my opinion, is developing players, which is great. That's awesome. First of all, it's late in a game. Peterson, it's not like he played great. He blocked a kick, but that's on special teams. So I'd like to know more about why Dantzler was benched, because I don't like this if it's, well, he's a young player and this is a nod to our vets. Your vets are old and slowing down. Let's not get too hung up on, we got to respect the veterans. That's true if they're still extremely proficient. But in this case, unless Cam did something wrong and deserved to be benched, I don't like that trend of, well, he's the young guy, so he gets benched.
The only thing that would make sense is if he is just a weird attitude guy. And this kind of showed its head with Zimmer, too, that he's got a feisty attitude and he can pop off a little bit sometimes.
Yep.
But in the tackling game last night, he made a couple brilliant open field tackles, very Antoine Winfield-like, just put an end to a drive type tackles. And I'm looking at just the targeting stats last night, too. So he was targeted 8 times. And he only gave up 5 catches. So five when he was being targeted, Jalen Hurts had a 70 passer rating. So it was like 6 yards a catch, and it was like 4 yards per attempt, something like that.
Okay.
So he had a good game. He was one of the bright shining pieces on the Vikings last night, and he got benched. So
right.
there must be something with attitude or something that, aside from how he plays on the field, that caused this to happen? I don't know. Hopefully somebody asks about it and gets an honest answer.
If he told the coaching staff your game plan is horse bleep, I don't blame him one bit. Like if he got benched because he said, "What are you guys even doing?" Your
There's a tactful way to go about that, and maybe he
heat of the battle, baby.
Do it tactfully.
Heat of the battle. Hey, Ed Donatel, do better.
What are you doing, Guy? Hey, Guy. All right,
Dex. Guy.
My next statement is unleash Lewis Cine. Unleash Lewis Cine here, okay? Like one snap yesterday. I know he played some special teams, but one defensive snap I think is all Lewis Cine got on the field yesterday. When you allow nearly 500 yards on your defense and you have your first-round draft pick just playing special teams, you need some type of reinforcement there. And look, Harrison Smith has a concussion, so we'll check on his health status, obviously, going forward in the Lions game. I don't think a great game from Cam Bynum either. But Lewis Cine in college at Georgia, which was a legendary defense last year, right? He was the #1 graded safety in zone coverage. He dropped the hammer on players. He hits incredibly hard. When you have a cluster that was the Vikings defense against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles yesterday, you got to get some type of reinforcements in there. And with old linebackers and older players kind of looking slow and old, how about you plug in one of the best college safeties in the NFL last year that you drafted with your first-round draft pick? So Lewis Cine, let's unleash Lewis Cine on the Vikings defense next week against the Lions.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cam Bynum, I like Cam Bynum overall. I thought Cam Bynum in limited duty last year did pretty good, but if he's going to keep screwing up like that big touchdown over the top, might be time to... maybe, ESPN has the come on, man, and you had one job on game day. Maybe we need one that's, what are you doing, guy? I'm going to give you one. My statement is going to be in that form here. All right.
All right.
Irv Smith Jr., what are you doing, guy? What are you doing, guy? You've been chomping at the bit. You've been sitting out with an injury. You didn't play last year. And this is your big chance. All right, didn't really play much last week either. Not even starting. Johnny Munt has started the season here. So, dude, it's time to go. We got to go, as our guy Chipper would say. And he drops a wide-open touchdown pass.
Yep. You're right.
Listen, I want to have some empathy here because injuries have derailed him a little bit, and he was sitting behind Kyle Rudolph for a couple seasons, but it is year 4, man. Year 4. This is it. In fact, isn't this the last year of his contract?
Yes.
Rookie
contract year. Yep.
And congrats on the touchdown last night, but you can't be wearing the number 84. People have pointed out
on a Monday
Randy
night.
Moss's jersey
on a Monday night too.
What are we doing, guy? What are we doing?
Let's retire that number too, huh? While we're at it. Hey, Irv, give me that number. Why? Because we're putting it in the rafters.
At the very least, he can't be allowed to wear number 84 next week. Dude has to take that jersey off. Has to take that jersey off.
Who's going to tell him, you?
I'm telling you right now.
Fly back here?
Irv, give me the full screen here, Declan. Irv, guy. Do what's right. Irv Smith, you're going to drop 64-yard touchdown passes, whatever the yardage was. Monday night, national TV, wearing number 84. What are you doing, guy? You got to turn that jersey in, man. You cannot wear Randy Moss's jersey going forward. At the very least. Don't need to bench you. Nothing like that. You're not going to get cut, but you got to turn the number 84 jersey in. You can't, with self-respect, wear that jersey anymore going forward. I'm sorry.
Bravo. You're right. Not wrong. Guy? I love it. It's mean, but I like it.
There's been a lot of slappies, too. Andre Allison.
Oh, God.
There's been so many people that have worn 84 since Moss.
And they just give it out to, you're right, to slappies. It's disgusting. It makes me sick, violently ill.
Drive-by to Andre Allison. My bad.
All right. My next statement is this. I need more. I need more from number 18, Justin Jefferson. Okay, dude, your first game was great, and you are an unbelievable talent. And we praised you up and down because you deserved that praise, okay? Darius Slay is really good. I appreciate that. You were doubled at times. I appreciate that. You also acknowledged that you weren't at times. But the fact is, you know what? More often than not, you are going to be, and you should be, the most paid attention to player on offense for this team. You got to fight through it. You're going to have tough games. You're going to get beat up. But you are a phenomenal talent. And the Packers did not have a good day. They screwed up. But you are going to be the assignment of a lot of top corners. They're going to roll safety help. And we've talked about this before. But the plan is not to just say now, well, Justin Jefferson's been taken away. The plan is to say, how do we get him open? How do we get him the ball? And there's going to be times he's going to have to fight for the ball. He's going to be being held, which he was last night. He's going to have a route that he is supposed to flatten out. He needs to do that. The way he sort of disappeared, 12 targets, 6 catches, and an underwhelming game last night, that's partially, if not at times largely, on him too. And he cannot, under any circumstances, for this team to be as successful as we expect, I think, still, he cannot disappear. Dude, got to fight through it. It's tough. The league sucks at times. But what makes players great is the want to as well as the ability.
Yeah. Life sucks. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
It's true. Adversity, man.
Deal with it. You know what doesn't suck? Underdog Fantasy.
No, it does not. Let's highlight my guy, Alec, here. So Alec tweeted us last week and said, thanks to my daily choice of podcasts and Mackie and Judd and Purple Daily, I tried Underdog Fantasy and cashed out over $1,500 this weekend for week 1.
Oh, my God.
Over $1,500 in Underdog Fantasy. Alec, please give me advice on picks for Underdog Fantasy. Week 2 was a bloodbath for me, but it was a great week.
Results not guaranteed.
Oh God! But pick 'em options, daily fantasy draft leagues. There's plenty of great options at Underdog Fantasy. Be like Alec, okay?
Not like Declan.
Not like Declan.
My sports son just screwed me left and right on those
although I will
picks.
say, you said AJ Brown would go well over that 71.5 yards. He did not go
well
over,
huh? Okay. All right, guy.
All right, but be like Alec, cash out those pick'em slips, show us those slips, download the Underdog Fantasy app, and if you use promo code SKOR, it helps us out, SKOR, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy and the Underdog Fantasy app.
We're gonna have Declan fire someone here just in a brief moment, but a shout out to our friends over at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They have been supporting us for a long time and supporting businesses in and around and outside the state of Minnesota. They're based in Owatonna. They are one of us, so to speak, and they're all about helping you maximize your business through risk management tools and resources. Find out how Federated can help your business at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, this was one of our most popular features of last year on the weekly Alex Boone appearances. So now on Purple Daily, Macadac is firing someone's ass with Booney.
Oh,
but people have been asking, like, why isn't Declan firing people anymore? So we're going to bring it back here on Mackie and Jed every single week. Declan wants somebody's ass fired.
You just made the list.
All right. We talked about Nathaniel Hackett. I even talked a little bit about Kevin Stefanski yesterday, but you know what? Let's give Nathaniel Hackett a full season. Kevin Stefanski, again, not all the blame is on him. Let's rip this Band-Aid off, though, because it should have been ripped off before the season, and this guy's going to be fired. The first head coach fired, no problem. Matt Rule. Matt Rule is
this was coming.
Terrible, man. He is plus 250 to be fired right now, according to bookies.com. He has won 10 games out of 35 tries. And can I be honest? Where was the vetting process that made Matt Rule the candidate to be an NFL head coach? So he went 11-1 at Baylor right before jumping ship to Carolina, which, hey, Baylor's a Power 5 school. They were pretty damn good. But before that, they went 7-6, 1-11 in his first season at Baylor. And Matt Rule's saving grace, you know what? This is what Matt Rule should do. He went to Temple, and Temple was a 10-win football team, 10-4, 10-5, winning a Sun Bowl here and there, winning the Military Bowl. That's your ceiling, Matt Rule. You should be nowhere near an NFL team, my guy. And Baker Mayfield, I know, not your best quarterback option there, but Carolina Panthers deserve a lot better than Matt Rule. So, Matt Rule, you're fired. Come on down.
You just made the list.
Low-hanging fruit. You just took it out.
Yeah, it's an easy one to rip off right now.
0-2, and he's got, and of course, I love these reports that came out about conflicting Judd's what Judd was hearing, that, hey, the Vikings and the Panthers at least had a casual conversation about Kirk Cousins. The Panthers were
laughed.
like, oh, that is ludicrous. Yeah. We would never. Well, maybe you should have.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah. So there it is. Dex wants someone's ass fired. I'm guessing Royce is probably banging on the door to do Royce Unchained
how
here.
much
So
time? Well, Pat, it's at noon, and it's
He
still
walked in last week.
11:55.
He walked in. I was still on. Are you still on? I was like, yeah, I'm still on.
We have
there's lights that say on air, right?
and in fact, Phil, we just replaced here in the studio like brand new on-air lights. They're actually really slick. They look really, really cool, and they're much more like honestly obnoxious in a good way of on air. Like it's very clear that this light is on and it says on air. And Pat Royce just opens the door.
There's a light that says on air, and there's also two dudes with headphones staring at microphones.
Yeah.
But no, we're just chilling.
And
we're
it's
just watching Good Morning
11:58.
America.
There's 2 minutes before we got to start.
It's incredible.
Oh my gosh! All right, well, thank you for hanging out with us here on this post-mortem edition of Mackie and Judd. And again, if you missed Purple Daily or Vikings Vent Line, all sorts of therapeutic recapping of the Vikings debacle in Philadelphia. So click subscribe on the SKOR North and Purple Daily YouTube channels, and we'll see you guys for Write That Down Wednesday tomorrow.